If you're struggling to lose weight, you've probably heard about weight loss medications like Wegovy or Zepbound, and you might be wondering if they're right for you. Meet PlushCare, a leading telehealth provider with doctors who are there for you day and night to partner with you in your weight loss journey. If you qualify, they can safely prescribe you medication from the comfort of your own home. To get started, visit plushcare.com/weightloss. That's plushcare.com/weightloss. plushcare.com/weightloss.
The power to question is the basis of all human progress, said Indira Gandhi. And it is good questions that inspire new ways of thinking that are more important than trying to maintain the illusion that we have all the answers already. Considering that life is rather short and time seems to be in a hurry to rob you of everything, it is worth finding new questions whenever you can that keep you on your toes and hold that door in your brain ajar and open to fresh ideas that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. To keep me on my toes today, I have Jodi Wellman on the show again, who is the author of You Only Die Once. She is a bundle of positive energy and wise insights from her work in applied positive psychology. My episode with her 2 months ago had the most listened hours of any episode that month, and this time we're here to talk about a few of her favorite questions. We're going to learn about the illusion of personal specialness and how to break it gently to yourself. What are good aspirations and potentially toxic aspirations, perhaps based on society's expectations, and how to abandon the things that no longer serve us. And we're going to actually start with a concept that was robbed in the world of startups and business and then applied to positive psychology. And that is asking if your life is worth recommending and what are the honest changes you need to make. So with that, hello and welcome to the show with me, Sam Webster, and stay tuned for this short and impactful episode of Great Questions.
So there's this net promoter score. And a million years ago in my old executive life, we used to administer that question to customers in the business that I worked in, where, would you recommend this health club or would you recommend this restaurant or would you recommend? And it's a mechanism, it's a feedback tool. And so I always like to bastardize things and say, okay, wait a minute. What about life? Like if you look at the life you've lived every darn day up till today, and I think the way to maybe make this comfortable is to say, to somebody who also values what you value, right? So if you think that your life has been a little bit weird because you've made some really interesting choices and then you were to let my dad live your life, my dad would be like, your life is like, I cannot live your life. So let's just assume that it's somebody who has similar values, also in your case, values curiosity and doing things that are kind of a little bit off the beaten track. In that question is, would you recommend every single, the package that you have lived thus far, would you recommend that to somebody else? And sometimes it's designed to rankle maybe and have us go, oh, not every day, of course not, but in aggregate. And would that be whoa, actually, if I could do a do-over, maybe I would do it over. Okay, great. Well, how would you do it over? Because the good news is you're still alive. How would you change it? How would you do more? What do you want to do more of this month? Or, wow, you know what? I'm pretty darn proud. And I feel like my life has been a good hit. Yeah, could I have done more? Sure. But, I feel generally okay about it. And then if that's the case, great. And still make that conscious choice about what you want to build in moving forward.
Yeah, it's really nice. When I heard you say that, I was like, a really good one for thinking for yourself. But my other thing here, though, is that you're obviously not supposed to answer for yourself when you're a business because of would you recommend your product? Yes, my product's great. What you need to do is you ask all the people that experience your product if they would like it. So should I actually write down what I've done with my life and then give it to 100 anonymous people to decide if they would want to live my life and then use that as a score? And then once I've made changes, then pull again in each year? I feel like if 100 people told me my life wasn't worth living, I might be like, oh crap, I've got to do something about this.
Oh, that's such a great question. I have an immediate response to it. And I feel like it is based in, I think there's a trap we can fall into, which is the optics. What does my life look like? And you know full well that, if we're living a life that is designed to look good on social media, well, we can contrive the crap out of that, first of all. We can make all that up and whatever. But what we're skipping over, of course, is the inner landscape, which is really all that matters, right? I look at people that I know who are I call them, they're in the vitally empty category. They're living wide. They're doing all these things. They have a lot of means. And so they are on their private jets and they're going to all these fantastic places. And ostensibly on the outside, if you gave their list, oh, wow, they went to Aspen, and then they went to the Alps, and then they did this, and then they went and they ziplined down here, and then they tried this Michelin-starred restaurant. And if you could list all sorts of things, it's a super shallow list by the end of it, right? Because at the end of the day, if you don't feel like your life has substance and you don't feel like you've had a really meaningful connection with someone that you cared about and you had a belly laugh, it's not worth anything. And so what we're really doing is, what are we measuring? We're measuring how good it looks and how, how do you like my tan on the beach when, I don't know, maybe it's cancerous anyway, so I don't know. So I say, let's skip the outside. Yeah. Let's skip all the outside opinion and only keep it inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I do wonder how many people are still using outside projection of what they want, which I think is another part of the unhappiness of, you can see so many people making it on social media or doing cool stuff that you think you want. And then when you go and do it, it's not so much fun, as in you go to Bali, but actually half it's queuing on airplanes and then being stuck in a place that there's just loads of people trying to take your money off you to take. And certainly for myself, as in I always want to be an entrepreneur because I love doing different things, but then it involves a lot of stress and responsibility for other people. Yeah, I spent so much time in that world and I just realized I didn't aspire to be anything like anyone I knew there. And I spent so much time doing other stupid stuff like hitchhiking across Kazakhstan and finding every opportunity I could do things that weren't that entrepreneurial, and was like, maybe I don't want to be like the next Elon Musk or be running some giant tech company. And it took me a while to work that out. And now I'm I might start another business, but in a very different mindset towards it. But I'm quite happy running a podcast with a license to read lots of books, talk to interesting people, and live by a beach in Portugal where I don't have to go networking, or I have 1 or 2 calls a week. And I hate having too many calls. If you want to run a business, you have to have all the calls and doing so many different things, which isn't that much fun for me. And I actually way more aspire to the people that maybe are comfortable, but are basically just spending their time doing the thing they want to be doing, rather than sacrificing their life to have lots of millions and then sort of have those few moments to spend lots of money quickly to take a picture of them looking cool. Because I don't really need to be doing that. I don't mind not making much money, but hiking because I get paid to go hiking. Sick. I don't need to have millions.
Yeah, that's so well put. I love hearing that.
But yeah, if someone's recommending their life, are they still aspiring to the thing that they haven't worked out they want to do? It's back to the want to do versus want to have done. You need to spend some time doing it to realize you don't want to have done it.
Yeah, that's part of the journey of life.
Nice callback. But basically try lots of things so at least you know what it is that you actually wanted to do. Otherwise you'll never really have that context.
Perfect summary. I love that.
I guess one very similarly related on the subject of fears is, someone asked me a question once on the podcast being it's not always what do you want to do, but also what do you not know how to stop, as in the things that in your life that keep going. And I find that's quite a good question to also ask yourself, of maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's your job, maybe a podcast. Actually, after you asked me that, my podcast had been getting smaller, and I did actually frame what I was doing with the podcast and made it way more interesting for myself. And it's now growing like crazy, as opposed to slowly dying, which is where it was at the time. So I think it is a really good question to work out, what have you not realized you could be stopping because you're just doing it because you sort of seem to be slightly ingrained.
Well, you remind me of the powerful, life-changing moments that people, and you know this well, who have had any kind of a brush with death have experienced. And so in my research, there are actually 8 different main benefits that people who have, whether it's a full-blown near-death experience or a brush. And so in addition to new priorities, many people will make this sort of, now with clear eyes, be yeah, those things in my life do not matter anymore. I don't need to worry about that BS. I don't have to worry about whether or not so-and-so down the street cares about, am I participating in that local community thing? I don't care. Or I don't care about my inbox. I met a guy who's I have 22,000 emails in my inbox and I almost died because I just couldn't imagine. But he's I don't care. I could care less. And so just this notion, and this is true for many people, that there's that shifting of what matters and what doesn't matter. And the ability to abandon the stuff that's yeah, you know what, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. I almost freaking died. And I didn't. And now I see with clarity all the stuff that matters. And all you suckers are still moaning and groaning about whether or not you responded to the email. Like, who cares?
I do think this is one, same with growth mindset, as I had someone on the show like a month ago. She nearly died, and she now runs a podcast where she interviews people who nearly died. And like her concept of what growth mindset was, or at least for herself, completely changed, because she thought she was doing a job that she was really good at. She thought she was making all the right decisions. She was happy with her life, nearly died, and was like, crap, I don't want to carry on living that life I was living. There's so much more potential of the things. And people just wouldn't even notice without something like a near-death experience to let them see what like the potential is and how much there isn't like a second backup life waiting for you after you've gone through the first one, like in sort of safe mode, because you are in the difficult, you will die mode. But that's also the chance where you get to do all the fun things as well. I've certainly really found it helpful for me, but it has made me wonder, how can you coach the benefits without nearly dying? Because it would be amazing if you could. And I think the ayahuasca or psilocybin retreats where you sort of have like 3 days completely different crazy experience for yourself, or like Vipassana retreats, the 10-day silent meditation also has a pretty big effect on you.
Right. And I joke about it by saying, like, essentially what we're trying to do here is have you have the same insights and light bulb moments that people who've had brushes with death have without any of the violence or injury or trauma or drama. However, this is just back to like, yeah, what can the rest of us do that haven't had the gift of a near-death experience? It's consistent reminders. A lot of it's visualization. When I'm working with a group and I do a workshop, I will get people to sometimes, depending on the length of time I have with them, imagine that they are out for a walk and that they are experiencing a heart attack. And now they have been given this gift of what really is a second chance. And then what might be different. And they don't have to, I mean, it doesn't need to be overly dramatic, but I think sometimes putting yourself there, doing the work to think about what would it be like if I came back from the brink, and what would I have exercises? There's one woman that I know who went through chemotherapy. She did 24 rounds of with breast cancer. She now runs a nonprofit that supports people with breast cancer. When she was in chemotherapy, I wrote about this in my book. She sat there, she had all this time, and she took a page in a journal and drew a circle. And she said, I was very conscious, when I make it through, what are the things that I want in my life? And then she wrote out their names and the things she wanted in the circle. And what do I want outside of my life? And she wrote out the names and the activities and the saying yes to things and like her pleasing behavior and all that. She wrote that outside that circle. I call it Shay's circle because her name's Shay. And those are those moments where you can go through that activity with yourself. You could do that while you're having a coffee or out with friends for dinner or in obviously a workshop I will give, but something that helps you to go, what would I want my life to look like? And we will never have that visceral, well, you will, but the rest of us, mere mortals, will not necessarily have that more salient reminder, but we just have to do it manually. We have to do a manual override. And I mean, I think about all the clients I've worked with over the years who maybe recovered from cancer, for example, and that immediate sense of, oh my gosh, I've got to get on with my life, that wanes. I mean, we adapt. That's a very adaptive response. And so there's just this sort of, how do I keep it fresh? Yeah, because you keep talking about it, because you keep thinking about it, because you have little talismans, like, as I always do, little skulls, little reminders, I am temporary. And in light of that, what do I want to do with my time? So it's a consistent reminder. I have to count my Mondays every freaking week in order to have it be the salient reminder that it is. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can get like a poster that's every single week of your entire life, and you can tick each one off, and it's very visually sort of shows you like a good percentage of where you're at. When you run a small business, life can be very overwhelming. And I know, a fun fact is I lost my short-term memory for 3 full weeks running whilst I was running my small business. During that time, I managed to lose my keys 4 times, I got on 2 wrong trains, and I drank 5 other people's coffees whilst mistaking them for my own. But having the right team members around can really make a huge difference. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It isn't just another job board. You can find professionals that you won't find anywhere else who might not even be actively searching, yet they are open to the perfect opportunity if it was to present itself. If you consider that over 70% of LinkedIn users aren't on other leading job sites, if you aren't using LinkedIn, you're probably looking in the wrong place. In fact, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/growth. That's linkedin.com/growth to quickly post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds, and I'm here with Keith, co-star of my upcoming film, If, only in theaters May 17th. Do you want to tell people the big news? All right, I'll do it. Sign up now and you'll get unlimited for $15 a month and 6 months of Paramount Plus Essential Plan on us. MintMobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 equivalent to $15 per month. Unlimited over 40 gigabytes per month. Face lower speeds. Videos at 480p. Active Mint customers by 531.24 get 6 months of Paramount Plus Essential Plan. Auto renews after 6 months. Offer ends May 31st, 2024. Separate Paramount Plus registration required. Terms and conditions apply if rated PG.
On the concept of if you're trying to give people like a near-death experience, I do feel like one of the benefits of mine, I broke my femur when I was kite surfing, and my leg, there's the image of my leg flopping all over from like the hip to the knee was just like a bag of like blah with some like basically pointy ends of my bone sticking into my muscle. Oh, it was so painful. But having a leg that was basically detached from you and weird was one thing that never left my brain. And the other thing is that when it got put back together, it's like 1 inch shorter. So like the rest of my life, I have like a constant acknowledgement of the fact that my body is quite different compared to what it was. And it was certainly like just the visualization of that, it just makes you so aware that your body is completely breakable. It's like if you break a rib or something, yeah, you know you can break a bone, but it's not, holy crap, this thing could do it. It could just like completely change. And I wonder what it'd be like for people that have like lost a limb or something, because I certainly was thinking like that could happen. You just have a much greater appreciation for the fact that your body is just like this vessel for your consciousness that like you just have to look after until it's gone. Look at someone that's ill, they're just waiting for their body to get better. I just wonder how you can do that for people, the recovery period of being in a wheelchair for a month and then like having crutches for a month. You could technically put them in crutches for a month to make them be like, yeah, it's really nice that I can walk.
Right. I love that. Very experiential. And I keep coming back to, because I think a lot about this, failing that it's doing stuff like listening to our conversation on your podcast. It's stopping and realizing, wait a sec. It's those consistent reminders. It's tuning in also to what a lot of psychologists refer to as little moments and signals that are, I call it like practicing death, where even little things, like I cut my thumb cutting cilantro and I realized it was all bandaged up. And it's the most minor example ever compared to your leg is spaghetti story. But because it's more common that some of us might, I need a Band-Aid. And so we put it, and then you realize, wait a minute, I didn't realize like now I can't use my thumb, and wow, I was taking it for granted. And then you aggrandize that and you say, wow, am I taking my life for granted? The answer is yes. And you have moments where you start to look at things differently. In addition to your capabilities in your body, it's noticing, for example, an aging parent and the fact that they're not as sharp as they used to be, and noticing that. And instead of getting pissed off at them for that, which is or annoyed or just sad, it's, I too am going to move down this path. And there's this concept in psychology I've always found fascinating called personal specialness. Like we somehow believe that we are a little more special than other people. Like we will not be subjected to the indignities that other people experience, like the aging process. Like somehow, well, I'm not going to have arthritis like someone else, or I'm somehow going to be like, you scoff at a slower senior citizen in the grocery store. Oh, they're so slow. And you somehow weirdly think you are going to escape that path or do it better, right? I'm not going to be annoying. I'm going to be so fit. When you're like, no, dude, you're going to be maybe even worse, And so this is all part of the psychological process that goes on to help us deny our existential angst, which is the fact that it's coming. And so I think that stopping and paying attention to it, noticing it, appreciating the gift that it does is of reminding us that we are temporary, we are fallible, we are, unfortunately, yes, perishable. So keep letting that continue to be the reminder. And then we always have to shift it. I don't want to linger in that shitty notion, pardon me, that we're temporary. I want to say, and therefore, and now shift it and say, and therefore, what do I want to do that's going to make me feel really alive for the next month? Or what am I going to do that's going to make me feel like my life has had some meaning? Or what do I want to do that will actually make me feel like I've contributed, or whatever it is that, again, I've identified wakes me up to life, and use that to our advantage. That's the work, because there is not a way to replicate the near death. Yeah.
Yeah, super hard. And again, yeah, it's like ego definitely gets in the way there of thinking that I love the personal specialness. There's a really good story from history about during the plague. It arrived in England first, and the Scottish, like they'd been at war with the English, and they were like, England's crippled. We've got to invade them. Obviously, they all got the plague, completely failed, all died, and then Scotland's left there like undefended. And you're like, Wow.
Yeah.
Humans are idiots. That
Right. What made you think?
was a really nice story of a similar personal specialness. But I like history. History's great. Thanks for Jodi coming on the show. If the concept of recommending your life feels a bit too socially strange for you, then try recommending this podcast and become a harbinger of joy for those around you. And on the subject of the shortness of life, did you hear about the Italian chef that died recently? He passed away. And on that bombshell, life really is too short to not get caught up in the illusion of self-importance. So remember to spend less time on social media and more time climbing trees, and of course, smile at strangers.
Hi, I'm Jessica Porter, and I'm a hypnotherapist, as well as a total relaxation nerd. If you're struggling to sleep at night, I'm here to help. Sleep Magic is my new podcast of relaxing hypnosis, created to help you doze off tonight. With my episodes every Wednesday, I'm going to make suggestions that help you relax really, really deeply. And hypnosis is not what you've seen on TV. There's no swinging pocket watch or clucking like a chicken. I promise. I'm just here to help you make friends with sleep again, so you can get the rest you deserve. So search Sleep Magic on your favorite podcast app, and I'll see you there.